Well, it's the Old Sloth Hiker here again, and we're going to do a new UnderQuilt. It's a solar blanket UnderQuilt. Many of you have already checked out my other video where I made one out of a mylar solar blanket, and I actually used two blankets put together. I'm going to revamp that. We're going to call it Solar Blanket 3.0 and try to make one of those here for you today, and it'll be a little bit lighter and a little bit smaller, but I think it'll be actually more effective. So let me just show you the things you need. I've got a mylar blanket here. I've actually got two because I can't remember which size I got. I think this one is a 7 by 6 foot, and this one may be a 7 by 5. Can't remember. I'd like to have the 7 by 6 foot if possible. I use two sides, so this one is black on one side and silver on the other. This one is gold and silver. You can get a variety of them. I also have some paracord. I've got some red paracord that shows up at night. So if you shine a flashlight on or something, this shows up really good. I have some other paracord. I'm going to use two different colored paracords on the shock cords that help hold it up, just so that I can tell the difference if I need to adjust it at night. I've got a sharp knife here. I've got a tape measure. We have to have some scissors to cut the mylar. I think that's about all we're going to need. So we'll just get this stuff spread out here and then we'll talk about it. Okay, two other things I forgot to say. Hooking up the paracord on two ends, I'm going to have 4 of these little cord locks. They come 2 in a package. I think I got them 2 for $2. They're about $1 each. And I got these at REI. You can probably get them a little cheaper some other places. And I got these little small bungee cords. These are they look about 10 inches with the hooks, okay? And those will go on the end and hook up so that there's some stretch to this, so that when I sit in my hammock it will actually stretch out, but it'll keep it kind of tight. And I'll need 2 on each end as well. So you need to have 4 of those, 4 cord locks, and then that should set you up. Alright, so the first thing is we need to make the paracord that goes along the sides that will basically hook onto the suspensions at the end of the hammock. So I'm using the red paracord for my side channels, and then I'm using this kind of gray-green for the end to kind of tuck it together and seal up the gaps. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this. Now the question is how long. This is about 7 feet long. It's just a little bit less than 7 feet long. And my bare bucket hammocks are 10 feet long, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to basically make this about 10 feet long, but then we're going to subtract this from both sides, because what we'd like it to do is just basically stretch about this far, just enough to keep it tight, but not real tight, okay? And so what we'll be doing is, this is about 6 inches, so on both ends that makes basically 12 inches, okay? And so we really need this to be all but about 12 inches of 10 feet. So we're going to make this basically 8. Now I'm going to make it a little bit longer than 8 feet so that I can double it over on the end, okay? And I'm just going to make loops, and then we're going to hook this to it, and then hook this onto a carabiner on the other side. So what we'd like it to do is we'd like it to be pretty close to 10 feet altogether when it's done, and I can adjust that a little bit and make it a little tighter by moving this knot down here like this. So we're going to cut these out into that like almost 10-foot section, not quite 10 foot, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put them right here, and we're going to fold this over, and then we're going to use packing tape, which I forgot to put in the thing, and we're going to packing tape and just put that right along there. The packing tape seals really well here. On my last blanket that I made, I've used it for 3.5 years, have not had any of that tape come off or even come loose. So we'll get to doing that, and then we'll show you what. Okay, so now what I've got is I've got some tape. I've just taken off my packing tape. I just lay it down here and right on here and just try to smooth it out as best I can. You'll get a few wrinkles, it's just normal. And I just keep moving it along. And I'm just using my thing here to my what do you call that thing? Tape holder. To hold that. You can use a book or anything. I'm going to get that one that short, but it came off, so we'll just use that anyways. We don't want to waste anything. Try again here. This tape is a little bit old. I probably should get some newer tape so it comes off easier. And there you have it. We've got all of this taped along there, and inside of there is my paracord line, and we've put a loop on the end of it, and then that's going to hook onto our shock cord. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now you should be able to see we've got this going down the length of this, and there's the suspension cord is going down both sides. Now what we have to do is we have to take this end, and we have to run a suspension cord in that too, but we want to go sideways now so that we can close this up and keep any air from getting in the ends like this. So we want to be able to put a shock cord in there, then put a cord lock and be able to shrink it up, kind of pull it in towards the middle. Okay, so we have the cord locks right here, and what we did was we took this and did the same thing on this end, and we taped that in with the packing tape, and then what we did is we put a cord lock on this. We can push that cord lock and actually tighten that cord lock up, so this will go right around the end of our hammock, and we can tighten that right down so it's nice and tight so we don't get any cool air in underneath our hammock, or we can leave it open if we want to get some air in there. And so it's very similar to the last one, except that we've just got one layer now. We don't have two layers, so it should fit on the outside. The old one was pretty long and deep, and when I put it on all the way, it came clear up above my hammock, and it would actually cut down on the air ventilation when it was a hot night. So I think this will work better. We're going to take it out this weekend and try it. I've got it all done here. It only took me about 45 minutes or to an hour to finish it all up. And this particular thing, this particular solar blanket cost me, I think it was $8, maybe $7. I got a bunch on together, so I think I got 8 of them all together for $24 or something like that. So it was real cheap. Maybe it was maybe more like $4 or $5 a piece. And then the paracord line was cheap. I basically have about 10 foot on each side, and I have about 5 feet in the ends. And then I have some packing tape, and that's basically it. I know some people worry about condensation when you're using a solar blanket like this. I have a bare butt hammock and a bare butt bug net that goes around my hammock, and it hangs down below it. And so what happens is when I put this here, when I put this under it, there's actually a layer of air between my hammock and the bug net, and then there's another little bit of a layer between the bug net and the bottom of this. And so what happens is I think there's enough air that gets in there so that any moisture that does come out of there will actually kind of dissipate and go out, squeeze out the ends. Again, I wouldn't be using this in really, really cold weather, but 50, 55 degrees, 40 degrees, that's kind of the weather that you can let a little bit of air in and out, and it's not going to kill you. So, give it a whirl, see if you like it. I already talked to a lot of people that tried the old one. They put two together and did it the same way. I think this is going to actually work better and actually feel warmer than the other one. So, going to try it out this week. Probably go to Mohican and do a quick little overnight to do a little test, and hopefully it'll work. Remember what I always say on these things: if I can do it, you can do it too. You should be able to put this together pretty simply. And remember, an UnderQuilt, even some of the cheapest ones, are going to cost $80 or $100. And that's a lot to pay to do it all year long. I do have an Econ 10-degree bag from Hammock Gear, and I love it. And in the winter, that's the way you've got to go. But in the late spring and in summer and early fall, this thing will get you down to like 35 or, well, probably 40-degree nights and keep you warm. And the only thing I have a little concern about this one is it's about 5 foot wide, and my hammock's 6 foot wide. So when I'm doing a horizontal lay, in other words, get a horizontal hang out of it, my feet might stick out the end a little bit, and the head might stick out a little bit. But the deal is, we're talking, you know, pretty warm temperatures anyway, so I'm not really too concerned that I'm going to get too cold. And I have an UnderQuilt that will keep me warm if I need to, especially my feet. I always have a box around that. So, all right, well, we'll see what happens. See you on the trail. And there is the thing all packed up and ready to go. This is a 6 foot chain there, so here's my hand on it, and that's how small this goes down to. I haven't weighed it yet, but I'm sure it weighs less than, probably about 4 ounces. Okay, so I wanted to show my new UnderQuilt that I've made. This is what I call my solar blanket 3.0. If you look on the end here, and here, along the edge of the tarp, I have some red suspension lines, and they come up to here. And then I have hooked in a bungee cord, and that bungee cord comes on up, and I've got a carabiner that they hook onto there. Now, since I use a daisy chain, I can tighten this or loosen this just by moving this up and down the daisy chain. So that makes it kind of nice. It's a little more adjustable for me and easier to adjust. If you look right here, I have some cord locks. This is the cord that runs through the ends. And if you remember my construction, I had these on both ends. And then what I do is I just pull that up tight. So this is nice and tight right now. And it comes up around my hammock, and it doesn't let any air in through there. So it's very similar to a normal hammock setup. These are on the sides. Those are in the middle. It's got some stretch, so it's going to stretch down. And so when I sit in it, it's not going to break anything. And I've already sat in it once, and I haven't really laid down in it yet. I've already sat in it once, and I could actually feel the heat reflecting back into the tarp. Now I have my mosquito netting, my bug net, on the outside, and if you look down here, you can actually see that there's a little bit of that underneath my hammock. So there's a little bit of a gap right there, and so there is a way for this to breathe a little bit. So I'm excited about that. I think that'll help it to breathe, and that way we won't get any condensation, but it remains to be seen. But that's why I put it on the outside rather than the inside. But I do know that it goes down a lot farther. It doesn't come up way around my head like the old one did. So I'm excited about this. It only costs about 15 bucks or so to make. That's a lot cheaper than a $120 UnderQuilt, even a cheap one.